I've got two children. My oldest daughter is 5 and my youngest son is 3. So they're not quite at the age where they would have to use a digital device like school requires them to use it. So with that, it also means that I don't want them to be completely sort of detached, like not have devices at all. I mean, that's my philosophy. I think we are in a world where we rely so much on our phones. It would be weird if we tell our children, no, you're not allowed to look at devices, you're not allowed to play with any of that, when we ourselves are using it so much. So for me, I think it's about how we can do this intentionally, especially when children are so young. Like for me, I always sort of research the apps or the movies that I want to introduce them to watch before I actually show it to them. That's just so that I can ensure that there's nothing strange that will pop up in between, because that can be quite a problem. Sometimes, like my son now, he's 3, he's starting to figure out how to swipe and how to click and how everything works. And that means that I also have to put in some restrictions, right? So I have got the parental control settings that I can do where I can prevent him from sort of accidentally purchasing something or going into websites or clicking on links to see things that he shouldn't be seeing. I'm very protective when it comes to that. But at the same time, I also believe that they should have free rein in a sense that they should be allowed to explore. The buttons on the iPads, for example, like what happens when you click on the X? What happens when you swipe? Or what happens when you do this? They should be allowed to discover for themselves. And they have. So generally, I think for me, I'm not resistant to the idea of introducing devices to them. I'm just very intentional about it. This is the Human Body app, and this is really fun. The most fun is probably the digestive system, because you can sort of see what happens when you, let's say, let's eat a watermelon, and then you see what happens to the watermelon. It goes down your throat, the esophagus, into the stomach, and then it goes down your small intestines, your big intestines, and then eventually it comes out as So it's very interactive and it's very fun because you can also play games games. This is also great in demonstrating like why you need to brush your teeth and what happens if you don't brush your teeth. So sometimes through games and through interactions like that, they would be more receptive to, an act that they're previously not receptive to. The other one is Joy Doodle, which is also really fun because the children, my children love to draw. So instead of sometimes you've got to give them paper and all that, you don't have so much paper, so they can just sort of doodle on this. And then they can explore all the different markers that they can use, the different effects that they can use as well. If they go over here, they see, I can do hearts, and it's like fireworks. They can save this picture or they can replay and see how, what the whole process of that drawing. And this is very fascinating for them because they will draw and draw and draw and draw, and then when they hit the play and they're like, this really can keep them occupied for a long time. So this is the sort of the options that are available for you in terms of protecting your child against sort of the amount of time they spend or the sites that they can visit. The screen time option over here, where you can decide that, I want to schedule time away from the screen. So during this time, only certain apps will be available. Like you can't access it unless you sort of undo this. Same thing, you can set limits on what are the websites that you don't want your child to visit or how much time they can spend on an app. And you can also set up, let's say if I have an iPad, my child has an iPad, I can set it up such that, how much time can my child spend on the iPad or how much time can my child spend on specific apps? And I can choose to sort of block from my iPad. That's the option. So I guess if your child is so sort of no, I don't want, I insist. Well, you can always just sort of control it on your end. It's not just about using, for example, the iPad as a form of distraction, but really using it to support conversations that you can have and even art and craft that you can do. I see all the resources as a way to support the traditional resources that we have rather than as a replacement. So if they are looking at books as well and they have the digital device, it becomes a natural thing. It's not something that is so unattainable, because you don't want to make it so unattainable for the children that they start to want it so bad, and then find different ways to get it because mom says no, we cannot, and then the more they want to get it, right? But if you use it naturally as like how you would in your daily lives, then to them it's like, oh, it's no big deal, right? We can have it, we can don't. Just like I can pick up a book, I can put it down, I can pick up my iPad, I can put it down. It's not gonna be like a big problem if we introduce it to them in a way that's like natural and part of the whole lifestyle.